European countries, prostitution is illegal and the government is targeting clients. But across the border in Germany, they've done just the opposite. 10 years ago, Berlin legalised prostitution, and since then the country has become home to the greatest number of prostitutes on the whole continent. Previously, the state turned a blind eye to prostitution, but now it's raking in revenue thanks to taxes and is increasingly looking to increase controls on the sex trade. Now people are asking if things haven't perhaps gone too far. Watch our special report now from our Germany correspondents Anne Meyer and Abby Darcy-Hughes.
In Germany, Sascha Urban is a club owner like any other. He runs one of the 500 brothels in the German capital. Here, his customers pay a flat rate. It's €99 up front, an all-inclusive deal for drinks and women. Nothing out of the ordinary in Germany. They legalised prostitution here more than 10 years ago. In the eyes of the German state, Sascha Urban isn't a pimp. He's a club owner who pays his taxes and pays social security for the women who work for him. He has to keep the authorities up to date every month.
So this is the list I have to fill out once a month with the names of the women who have worked in my club. I send it to the tax office in charge of prostitution. I fill out the women's tax numbers, their nationality, their work names, and their dates of birth.
Germany has about 200,000 prostitutes, and nearly two-thirds of them are foreigners. Here, they're mostly Eastern European. Anka is Romanian, and she's been working legally as a prostitute for 6 years.
I'm really happy with my life here. I earn money, I have a regular job. It's all legal, and I don't have to hide what I'm doing.
According to the trade union Verdi, in Germany, prostitution has an annual turnover of €14.5 billion, and it's not just the brothels who profit from it.
The state benefits from this too. Every day, 1 million men go to a brothel in Germany, and each of them spends €50 there on average. Just do the math. That's 50 million euros a day, and obviously a portion of that money then goes in the state coffers.
Es ist natürlich schön, wenn der Staat einen Teil abbekommt.
The state and local authorities get tens of millions of euros each year from prostitution. Germany now has 3,000 brothels, and the numbers are growing. But legalising the oldest trade in the world hasn't necessarily made life easier for the prostitutes. Whilst local authorities profit from the business, they're introducing new coercive policies. Last year, Hamburg marked off parts of its city as no-go areas for prostitutes, and they've upped the number of controls they carry out in the clubs. Undina describes herself as a sex worker. She has a degree in science, and she's been doing this job for 20 years. She says the authorities are acting dishonestly.
The states and certain local authorities, and sometimes even the officials, behave as if prostitution was never legalized. Instead, we still don't have legal status. The tax authorities register our income under the category miscellaneous. So we can't really know who's actually employed as a sex worker.
A decade on, and Germany still has a very ambiguous approach to prostitution. The sex industry is omnipresent on Germany's streets, and the authorities seem to have little control over what goes on behind closed doors, let alone over trafficking. Spiegel TV recently broadcast an in-depth investigation into the sex business in Germany, and their conclusion was damning.
Legalization hasn't helped prostitutes at all, but it's given the pimps a lot more clout, because pimping is no longer classed as a crime. Only if it can be proven that women are being illegally exploited. The detectives we spoke to say that Germany is now a real paradise for foreign pimps.
Can Germany continue to profit from prostitution without properly regulating it? There are now calls for more meaningful restrictions on the trade. A draft law was recently rejected by the upper house of parliament for being too lax. The NGO Terre des Femmes says the priority is to give prostitutes proper rights.
They should have real work contracts. There should be more and regular inspections of the brothels and what goes on there. And most importantly, we need to focus on the women who are forced to come to Germany to work as prostitutes. We really need to look at how we can offer them protection so they can testify against their pimps.
Currently, only about 1% of Germany's prostitutes have real work contracts. a far cry from the security and protection promised by legalisation.
That report from Anne Mayet and Abby Darcy-Hughes rounding up today's focus. We're going to take a check now on the latest international